Hello there, guys. My name is Tatiana, and I am starting my new video blog today. Here I am in my house in France. I'm lucky enough to be living in this beautiful country, and it's now over 10 years, and I'm happy to tell you about what I know. I think I know a lot. And so it's going to be a bunch of videos about the culture, the wine, the food, the cheese, the bread, anything that you've heard about for so many years. People tell you, oh, France is so great. What is it that makes it so great? Well, I'm sort of an expat living here now, and I've been all over the place, and there are many things that I could tell you. So today I'm going to well, what you're seeing on my table is a bottle of wine and a couple of glasses, and there's some grapes, and there's a baguette. Of course, we all know. Well, somebody bit into this. Obviously, I don't eat something like this, but this is something that we'll be talking about. My blog, and a piece of cheese, and this is meant to be cut into fine, tiny little pieces, and that goes with the wine. So the particular wine that I'm holding here is actually a Chablis Première Cru, which is, you may have heard about this type of wine wherever you are, in the US, in the UK, or whatever, Australia. It's actually pretty hard to find outside of France, but we'll talk about this a little bit more. So let me just pour myself a glass of wine so I could kind of relax and talk about this stuff with you at leisure. Because one thing that we know living here is that things just happen at their own pace, and all is good in life. And a nice glass of wine usually helps that notion. All right, so France and wine. First of all, let me tell you something. This is the country that gave the world the wine. Some people may say, well, it was the Romans that brought the grapes, the vines to Provence first, which was their province. And then it was Julius Caesar that when he conquered the Gaul, he taught the northern Frenchmen to plant the grape wine. Well, they've obviously taken it to its peak, and so what we have today is a hugely sophisticated and very, very complicated industry of winemaking in France. And so I'll show you a little map at some point of France, and I'll show you the main regions. But I'm a big fan of Bourgogne, which is Burgundy in English. So that's like, if you're imagining France is sort of like a hexagon, they're saying, so it's got like the sides, not the pentagon, which has the 5, and this is excess, so that this has the 6. It's 6? I think so, it's 6. And so, oh, is it still recording? Let's see. Okay, I think it is. This is my first one, so please forgive me. Anyway, so what's happening is so Paris is kind of in the center, but it's not actually in the center, but towards the top of the country. And then if you look at the map directly on the right side, sort of east, south, southeast, is going to be this region slightly below the Paris region, which is called Burgundy. So it's probably one of the oldest winemaking regions in France. And Champagne, which we'll talk about in my next video, which I'm looking forward to telling you a lot about. Champagne is just above it. But so Burgundy. So this little Chablis bottle here is from from Burgundy, and it's actually the northern part of Burgundy. Um, what we what's in Burgundy? You guys may have heard about Dijon mustard, right? Like the thick grainy mustard, like looks like homemade mustard. So that's like in the southern part of Burgundy. But mostly, well, there also we have abbeys. We have a lot of abbeys there, and old castles, and it's a region that's inland. It's locked inland, so you don't have any sea views, but you have a lot of vineyards. So it's mostly known for its wines. And so there's this town called Beaune. If you're ever here, that's where you would probably want to be going, to Beaune. And that is the place where all of the wine producers of the most expensive and the most famous wines in the world secretly meet once a year. They're actually called, they're like these Knights of the Order, and the order is called Testament. And they meet and they all wear medieval clothes and they decide which wine is the best wine for in that particular year. So they take their wine very seriously there. So it's mostly there in the southern part of Burgundy. It's mostly reds, but that we're all that you may have heard. $1,000 bottle, €1,000 bottle, something like Romain Conti. Which you can't even find in the U.S. Anymore. But well, maybe some collectors have it. I have yet to meet a person that in front of my very eyes, at least was drinking a $1,000 bottle of Romain Conti. Anyway, so back to my little Chablis here. In the northern part of Burgundy, the climate is pretty cold. So those Chardonnay grapes tend to get frost. I guess they get frosty in the winter. So they have to really keep them pretty protected. But the soil is very flaky, and I guess it used to be ocean floor before all the tectonic shifts and whatever. So there's a lot of seashells and some kind of sea snails, or whatever, prehistoric organisms that go back to the time when this was all ocean floor. So the wines here tend to be okay. Let me try this again. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Hopefully it is doing something. Oh, God. It's great. The wines here go really well. The Chardonnay, the whites go really well with seafood because the soil, by default, at some point the soil was ocean floor. So if you want to know something more about wines and what's happening with them, this is the story. Basically, we don't water vineyards, and this may come as sort of a surprise to some of you, but the grape roots, the vine itself is supposed to reach down to the very bottom and find the water that will feed the roots. And then while it's doing that, while it's going down looking for that water, the root I'm talking about, it's going to be taking in all the minerals, everything that's in that soil, all of the layers of all kinds of organisms that are in the soil and have been for thousands of years. And so by the time it does come, and on the surface it shows up as a green leaf that eventually will give you those grapes, and then eventually you'll have it as a nectar, as the wine. It's going to have a chance to absorb all of that wonderful and rich soil, which the French have a wonderful name for. It's called terroir. which means, a rough translation just means the land, but it's actually more than that. It's the land, but it's also Mother Earth. It's also everything that comes from that root, from the deep soil, everything that's around the soil. It's like the land with the capital L, okay? So, just to finish off here, I wanted to say that Chablis is a little village in so there's a village called Chablis, and so that you can go there when you're traveling through Burgundy, and you could go into any of the little wine tasting places, which is usually usually would be the producer itself, the person whose family works the vineyard. They probably have owned it, and it's been in the family for generations and generations. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it. And what I would say is please support the local producers as opposed to the big winemaking corporations in California, because that for them that's just money. For these guys, making this bottle of wine is something that his grandfather taught his father, and his father taught him, and he's going to be teaching his child. And so we want us, people that care about the little person, to help these independent wine producers. And so Chablis itself is just 100% Chardonnay. Usually you'll hear what they do. Cépage in French means the type of grape that is used to make the wine. And so here it's 100% Chardonnay, but it has nothing, I promise you, this has nothing to do with a glass of Chardonnay that comes from the regular Californian vineyard. This is so amazingly rich, outstanding, and just, it just fills your mouth with this kind of an amazing joy. The nose is the aroma that you get from the wine. There's the black currants, and obviously there's a job in France that's called the nose, and that's the person. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. That's the perfumery. That's for another time. Sorry. Now the person that tastes the wine is the sommelier and the oenologist, and that's from the Latin vino. And so you'd be, the nose in the wine is just what is the aroma. So here I'm getting the black currants, I'm getting some kind of a nutty thing, and then a lot of earthy tones, and hardly any oaky oaky undertones, which is what usually happens with the California Chardonnays, because people can afford to put their wine in the oak barrels and then keep it there for a couple of years, and boom, any kind of Joe Schmo regular wine that came from commercial production, put it in the oak barrel, and it becomes a $100 bottle of wine. Not sure. Sounds like cheating to me. Anyway, here's to you guys, and I promise there'll be more interesting things that will come in my next post. Thank you. Bye.